Lots of good Batman this week, some awesome independence, Marvel stepping up that Powers of 10 game, and some weird anime book about something. I don't know. It's RWBY. I don't know. This is awkward. Like sipping coffee in front of you. Let's roll that intro. Oh my lord, was it a good haul this week? Lots of good DC stuff out there. Lots of Batman stuff in my haul this week. So let's not waste any more time and let's get talking about this. Barry, right up off the bat is this Batman Grave. If you didn't, this is good. This was so good, and it left you on such a cliffhanger, and it's scary. It's kind of like a little psychological thriller. This is a number one, right? Because that's what we do now. So basically, Batman. We get some nuancy intake about how Batman investigates things. It was kind of interesting. Normally, when you investigate something, apparently I've never investigated like a murder or anything, but from TV and pop culture, I generally hear that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the killer. It kind of follows the killer around. Well, Batman kind of backs that up and puts himself in the place of the victim in this one, finding probably the most creepiest thing in it. So basically, it breaks down this guy had a friend. We'll just throw it that way. They hung out a lot together. Body's nice, cleaned. It's been well kept after it was murdered. Does that make sense? So like the body died and he put him in a suit and all this other stuff his buddy did. And we don't get much of it. And then we're like, okay, so where did the killer go? And of course, Batman finds him in the floorboards, just hanging out, saying, I was lonely. It, this is a creepy book. Like it is genuinely, I was like, oh my god. I wish the art was a little darker in it. I mean, they did do some darkness, like just these hazy blues, but I thought just like a Vertigo type darkness with heavy shadowing would have really made this thing pop as more of a horror. But again, I try to stay off of art. Okay, next, Batman Universe. Man, I don't know why I haven't been reading this. This was not on my radar. Um, Honestly, I just picked up this one because I saw Jonah Hex was going to be in it. And let's be honest, Jonah Hex does not get the love that he deserves. I'm telling you, he's a great hero. Great Western hero. And he's kind of a jerk. And I think that's why I like him. So basically, this comic book right here is kind of playing with time, jumping around in time. So if you like superheroes, samurais, cowboys, robots, just all that mess just crammed into one story. Oh man, I got to go back and get issues 1 through 3 of this. This was so fun. And it was nice to see Jonah Hex actually play a major part in this. And he's kind of got this no nonsense attitude through the whole thing that I really liked. Hal Jordan was funny in it, and Batman's just trying to slow everybody down and say, hey, we need to kind of, this is what we're trying to do. Like it was really fun read. I really enjoyed it. Next, another Batman. Detective Comics. What did we think about this Detective Comics? Well, first off, Batman in a flame-throwing suit is a lot better than I thought it was going to be, I'll be honest. I'm not a big fan of Mr. Freeze and trying to save his wife thing. I think that's a tired trope. But it did work in this one to some degree. Batman's been chasing down Dr. Freeze because he's been kidnapping women that kind of sort of look like his wife because to experiment on them. I thought it was pretty cool. The ice zombies in this that were attached to the tubes. It was straight up Games of Thrones type of thing. It was pretty. It was pretty gnarly. That was pretty cool. Um, the escape vehicle and the art in this is just absolutely beautiful. And I say the escape vehicle because I don't know why that struck me as some sort of old G.I. Joe toy to me. I may have owned that toy. That was weird. I mean, when you get stuff like this in a comic book, you just, it is awesome. Plus that whole motif of fire and ice fighting each other. That's played up heavily in this. So that was pretty cool. Moving on, Joker. Coming off of a Joker high in the movie theater, this book just kept it going. And more of in a funnier sense than a, oh my God sense. Basically, this thing's ridiculous. I absolutely love it. So again, with everything going on in the year of the villain, the Joker gets to escape. He brings along, I believe it's the Six of Clubs, right? One of the guys from the card gang type of things, whatever. And in this entire thing, he's visually disturbed. Like he's depressed, everything, nothing matters. He's either A, heavily medicated or super depressed. It's really hard to tell in this. But as you go through this story, we find out that he had a traumatic childhood, like half the people in Arkham. Okay, we get it. So Joker gets this great idea: when everybody's a villain, what do we have to do to be different? And he's like, we got to be the superheroes. So the first one they go up against is Condiment King. Yeah, they're still playing that guy. Right? And immediately the guy recognizes him as the Joker. He's freaking out. It doesn't matter. Joker jacks him up anyway, and then realizes that they need to be superheroes. Buys a Batman and Robin content or costume for him and his little friend, and then we get this right here. This absolute brilliantly done insanity. Even the wall climbing, that, oh my lord. It was so fun. So we go through this thing. Finally, the kid, and we're trying to be heroes, but it's really just being bad guys, right? Because they're delusional. It was beautifully done. We get all the way to the end here. They have a falling out, of course. Joker threatens Six's mother. Yeah, we'll just call him Six for now. They fight each other. It was great. And then the kid ends up getting the hell beat out of him. But, you know, his mom takes him to the hospital. So happy ending. This was great. Go back, pick it up. Don't wait for it to be in a dollar bin. It's just good read, right? Is it going to go anywhere on any markets or anything? No, right? If it does, I'd be very much surprised. But it was just a fun read. I can't talk enough about it. I really can't. Speaking of another book I can't talk enough about, yeah, I'm enjoying Event Leviathan. We have our second team of detectives, and they think Lois Lane is Leviathan. That would be correct. That's what they think anyway. So, you know, we had one team that thought it was Nightwing. We have another team. So nobody knows who Leviathan is. And we don't really find out in this one. We do get tidbits of information, though, that were kind of brought to us. It has something to do with the Manhunter, not the alien version, but the female version that goes around and beats people up. We understand that some of the tech there, to some degree, with her bow staff and everything, is heavily referenced in this by Robin. So we know that there's something, some sort of tie-in with them. But the reasons still aren't very clear, and that's, I think, what makes it so good. What makes Leviathan a good villain in this is he legitimately believes in what he's doing. In any other context, he would probably be the hero of the situation. Yeah, and that's a good villain right there. That makes sense. Gotham City Monsters, we get introduced to the Red Phantom. Now, I don't know if the Red Phantom has existed before. I don't think this is a first appearance. I thought maybe I might have heard of him before, but I'm not sure. But in this one, Frankenstein starts assembling his team, and it's pretty interesting, all to go against the Martian, the Red Martian guy. So we got Killer Croc, we got Clay Lady, we got, oh, who's this other cat in here? We have a collection of Frankenstein. Red Phantom is he can't leave the movie theater, so they'll probably make that the base of headquarters. We got the Oracle Lady. So yeah, we got a little bit of everything going on in this, and it's good. It makes sense. It's not just a hodgepodge of characters being forced to work together. They all have some sort of nuancy thing of why they need to be involved in this, and that makes for a story that makes sense. So it's a good story. If you're not into monsters or anything, this isn't going to change your mind. I promise you that. Next, Superman. First off, dude, Jonathan Kent needs to take a break. Like, seriously. This kid is always on the go. Like, it's been nonstop adventure. Like, it's ridiculous. I'll give you an example. He takes off with his grandfather, right? Escapes from imprisoned on a planet, escapes, has to travel through time and space to get back home. He's home like a couple of minutes. Superman's like, let's go talk to Grandpa. They shoot back into space. Literally, it was like 3 panels. They shoot back up into space. Supergirl shows up and says, hey, Superboy, I need your help. They fly off to another universe, comes back, helps set up the United Universe thing where he gets an invitation from the Legion of Heroes to come over there. But he's like, hey, can I hold off on a second? Shoots back to Earth to meet up with his buddy Robin. And that's what we get in here. Yeah, that's all happened in less 6 months, right? How long have we been on one story arc in Amazing Spider-Man? Seriously. Okay. So he flies back to see his friend. His friend doesn't believe it's him because they're still dealing with Leviathan. I love this constantly throwing a batarang up against his head. It just, of course, bounces off. It's great. So they sit there and they talk. They eat hot dogs together. They travel around. They stop some low minor crime things going on in the area. They hang out and basically just have a bromance the way superheroes would, right? Just fighting crime and watching the sun come up because we need a splash page. So we keep moving on. And finally, he makes the decision that, yeah, I think I'm going to go to the 31st century and hang out with all the cats from the Legion of Heroes. So he's off on to another thing. Kid's busy. And of course, Superman gets a little thing. But there's something nefarious going on. We know there is because, well, if you've been reading the Millennium Legion of Heroes thing, yeah, it's not the utopia that it makes out to be. So we'll see what's going on there. Next is probably going to be my first real blast of, yeah, it's my first blast. A hard blast. Okay. This thing. I'm supposed to call it RWBY, I think. RWBY. Yeah, they did that. If you don't know, each one of these characters, it's part of their name. One's named Rose and something else and something else and something else. I don't really know. I'll be honest with you, I don't know because the characters keep flip-flopping in this, and I don't think the art's very consistent. If you like, this kind of anime type style, this might very well be the comic book for you. You could probably follow it a lot easier than I was able to. It was very odd. It would abruptly jump back in time and then abruptly jump to the older daughter when she's older, and then the mother when she was younger, and then the in between. It kept flip flopping through this time scale, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden some random uncle just shows up. Apparently, some sort of war was fought, and it taught everybody a lesson, and evil's still out there. I don't know. I'm trying. Like that's the best I can review this book. I've read this thing twice, and I'm just like, what is? I don't understand. Who's the villain? Like, who's the villain? Let's start there. Um, I don't think this book really went through any type of editorial process either, because if you skim through it backwards, you should be able to get some sense of the story. It's what editors do, and if you do that in here, it's just a hodgepodge of mess. So, yeah, this is again, if you like this kind of oversized weapons on tiny sticks, anime type of stuff, this may very well be the book for you. And God bless you. You can have my copy if you like it. But it wasn't. This wasn't for me. It was. All right, moving on. Yes, there's more. All right, so light on Marvel this week, like super light. Loki, love the trickster, love what he did in this. He tricks Nightmare into a mortal style fight where they kind of flex up, and then turns around and drops a car on him at the same time using a remote that he stole from Tony Stark and his new high tech Guru tactical car. It was fun. It was absolutely fun. I love this book. I love the Loki's tricks little box that are constantly being popped up in this thing. I think it's beautiful. I love the ending where Loki um, was counseling, basically, the young lady that lost her wife. Well, the young lady that lost her wife. Yes. If you don't know, Nightmare kind of made it where they never met, right? And the girl's been very depressed about this. She even shoots Nightmare in this back when he had his mortal powers and everything, so it didn't do anything. But and Loki's like, okay, all right, fine. He made that happen. We can't undo it. So go find her. Go find her and take her on a date. Because if you're truly soulmates, you'll be right back in no time at all. And the girl's like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? So she runs off happy. And of course, Thor and Tony Stark call him a hero. And oh, yay, we're all friends now. So cheesiness, yes, but good comic book cheesiness. It's not too shabby. I enjoyed it. Next, Powers of 10. Now that I've done my research and found to be corrected, Powers of 10. I'm going to do something with the whole series now that I have it all. I just want to kind of go back through them and see what makes sense and what doesn't, and then kind of throw a video together. But this entire issue right here is about control and power. That's it. Is there action scenes in it? Yeah, very minimal. Very minimal. We get some recalls back to where McTaggart and Xavier are sitting in that carnival thing meeting. In this one, we find out that even though I know somebody knows the possible outcome, there's so many possible outcomes. No matter how many times McTaggart goes back to start over again, keeping that knowledge, we find out that there is no winning in the end, because as time stretches forward, the ending will constantly change. So through the era of Nimrod, whatever the case may be, to the phalanxes, mutants are doomed. They're legitimately doomed. So we're trying on this one to at least build a just society. I'm curious what the writers think a just society looks like, because with all the new number ones and all the spin-offs that are going to be happening from this, I kind of want to see some pushback on that, because you can't have a society without, or I'm sorry, you can't have culture without some sort of counterculture inside of it, right? Because then we're all just robots, right? So I kind of want to see that happen. I got a feeling it's going to happen in the Marauders issue number 1. Man, I hope so. That would be awesome. All right, moving on to Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom denounces some tech that Reed Richards and Tony Stark built and stuck on the moon to help get rid of all the CO2 emissions that are in our atmosphere because global warming. So they build it, and Victor Von Doom doesn't really think it will work the way everybody says that it will. Unfortunately, and surprise to Victor Doom, all the missiles from his country leave, shoot up into space, and destroy this thing, and it was not under his control. Understanding what's about to happen, causing an international incident, and every nation in the UN gonna come down on him like a ton of bricks. He tries to surrender, finds himself in a little bit of a fight. I thought the fight scene in here was awesome. Yes, that is Union Jack right there. Yes, karate kicking and super punching. He's there to get Victor Von Doom, and we also get another one. What's this guy's name? Agent Zero. That's right. We get Agent Zero too. Again, some more obscure Marvel characters that we kind of bring around every now and then. But oh my god, it's so fun. Speaking of fun, just tell me who Kindred is already. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 31. This is the 1 in 25 variant. I'm really regretting that. That just looks horrible. I don't know if that's supposed to be the Hulk in there, or what's going on with that mouth. Like, for real. I know it's a little blurry up there, but it doesn't. It's the same. It's all. Okay. However, this was a good story. We find out that Kindred knows a lot about the Osborn family. They confirmed, well, they said it in the last issue, confirmed it in this one. Kindred puts one of his little centipede thingies in Norman Osborn's brain skull, so he can't directly hurt Peter Parker. I would say Spider-Man, but it's more Peter Parker, because he keeps referencing Peter Parker all the time. So that happens when they're getting close to the death scene, but Osborn's Carnage realizes that the kids are in there. They're going in there to get that. Spider-Man realizes he's got to buck up or nut up, and he's got to take him down, so they fight. This is just great. Although I will say this, if I had one complaint, it would be with the whole series. I think we've spent too long telling us anything about this Kindred guy. We saw him in the first issue of last year, and he pops in and out on the most awkward times for no reason, right? It's starting to become kind of why are we still dealing with this guy? This kind of thing. I don't know. I want to just know who he is already. Just tell me who he is already, so we can move on. All right, moving on. Yeah, my independence this week. Some great independence. First off, Reaver. They break into the castle. Our fancy pants soldier boy comes out. He betrays everybody. But we find out that a lot of this is based off of this turmoil between the two armies that are fighting is based off of faith, which is always great. I love it when people go to war over religion. It makes me just laugh. However, with the poison running through their body, how is that going to work out? We're going to get that. We get some insight from the Berserker in here and how he's just a beast because at this point in time, that's what he is. That's what he's known as. So he feels that he is playing a role. We get the Wildling, who's kind in some cases and then literally bites people in the neck in the other and then frees a bunch of prisoners. Like, I love just the absolute randomness of the Wildling and her actions. It is quite fun. Our soldier boy, he kind of understands how to break in and how military douchebagness works. Right? Like some guards tried to give him some crap. He read off some rule and then just started spitting hot fire at him. Like, it was awesome. So yeah, this is still great. Somebody's got to pick this up. This would make a great movie. As long as they didn't rush the movie, this would be just great. Just absolutely awesome. Next, I picked up a G.I. Joe comic book that I actually like. This is number 267. This is part 2 of Snake Hunt. This is fun. A lot of new characters in this, but they kept true with a lot of older characters in this as well. We saw Clutch in this issue. We see Rock and Roll, Rockin' and Rollin' a Machine Gun in here. It was awesome. There's some new ninja people I didn't really recognize, like Voodoo. I'm not sure what that is. Apparently, he's some Zen master samurai guy. Whatever. Snake Eyes gets captured in this one because that was the objective. We also got to see some of our favorite Cobra bad guys like Pit Vipers and Flame Vipers and Something Viper, because in the 80s, for all you younger people out there that may not have been in the 80s, what we did is we would say, like, we would call things like Tarantula and Dragon and Viper because it sounded badass. Like, people would spray paint on the side of their fans. Look at me, talking like the 80s is like ancient history. It's not, but we did that. Like, people would wear neon colored jackets with dragons on the back of it. Why? 80s. Let that sink in. Another good book this week. Wow. Just wow. We got broken up 3 different teams trying to figure it out. We have one team from the Black Hammer universe. We have one team from the Justice League universe. And then we have a mixture, right? We have Colonel Weird, Flash, and the Green Lantern. And we find out who started all this swapping and flip-flopping around. It was Mixie Pix. Yes, Mixie Pix from the 5th dimension, the most powerful being ever. He's screwing with everybody in this. That was a great twist. I would not have thought that would have happened. Super happy about that. One of my favorite characters in comic book history. Why? Because it's just silly, and he's a brilliant trickster. And he's omnipotent at the defeat. So this is a great mixture of characters. It's a fun read now. But this one's taking on a much darker tone, Mixie Pix is, right? Like, he's like a force of evil in this, instead of just being some little trickster that's bored. But he is keeping true to his roots because he's like, okay, I'll switch everything back if you can get everybody to agree. And as we know, that's going to be a problem with some of the people on the Black Hammer side of the universe. They don't want to go back to the farm. Yeah. Also, we got our typical trope in here, but I like the way they did it. Remember, trope doesn't mean bad. It's just a reference point of what something is. With heroes fighting heroes in the Justice League universe, with what's left over, we got Fish Boy, the Fish Whisperer himself. I don't even know why he's allowed to speak in a comic book. He should just be gulping for air. If you haven't figured out, I'm not an Aquaman fan. And Zatanna is trying to calm everybody down and fix everything, and then all of a sudden Spectre shows up and he's like, this kind of magic will destroy and tear apart the universe for, say, blah, 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 right? Because he talks in some weird way. So he's involved now. Everybody's telling him to stop. It's just chaos at this point. I want to see a reviewer do a clean, precise review of this comic book. I don't think you can without leaving some of the great bits and pieces that are happening in this book. Oh, by the way, our Justice League cats, they're finally starting to figure out that they haven't actually been there 10 years. And they find a cabin and they get attacked by monster animals. I forgot to mention the Justice League cats. So yeah. And last but not least, I got up Spawn number 301. I could have gotten all the crazy variants because I think a lot of people have dropped it at this point. You got up to 300. They said, okay, good enough. In this one, we actually got a lot of Spawn. We got Spawn coming back from fire. the art and everything in here is true to Spawn, especially these over calculated panels that are just all over the place. We get a great story in here. I don't want to ruin this one for you because there's some cool stuff that happens in here, and you may want to pick it up. Especially if you're kind of a speculator and you're thinking that movie still might get made. Yeah, you might want to pick that up. So what's been going on? Hey, thank you for watching the last video. Thanks for all the thumbs up and all the Instagram comments. That was really awesome of all of you. Again, that wasn't meant to wound or hurt anybody's feelings, but just to kind of clarify, as the customer, I think we need to be heard as well.